It's the Queen of Spades, coming at your juggler. Mouth sealed with duct tape, 1, 2, check up. Quantum bombs will knock your chin and twist your neck and buck your head off. I'm from a whole other dimension, born killers. We assassinated us, complete obliteration. The dead walk at dawn, and we nearly raised you. We pulled you into parts so we can dissect them. Transmuted all the bullshit that ripped you back together. However, niggas really try to fuck with me. They not knowing who I be. All they know is that I'm married. My rhymes is bloody to the 3rd degree. Like your neck on my guillotine, we murdering the beat. Barbara, oh Barbara, it's far too many of us dying. Peace and bright blessings, guys. It's your Queen of Spades. I hope all is well with everyone. This is the part 2 of the Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard overview. And once again, I have some notes here. So we're going to pick up right where we left off. Okay, so we left off with asking a couple of pendulum questions in the last video. So I also wanted to point out the fact that, you know, basically there were signs of jealousy and envy for Johnny, basically as a person, basically every aspect of his life. It seemed as though, you know, Amber Heard was, you know, pretty jealous of and made certain moves as a result of her jealousy. Like she spoke in the testimony about, you know, him having lots of people around him, and she classified them as, you know, his paid hire, you know, that basically would, you know, say anything he needed for them to say, or whatever the case may be. But everybody that took the stand for Johnny was not, you know, people that worked for him. And she even said that even people that did not work for him, you know, were lying too, which draws a red flag, because if everyone's lying but meanwhile you're clearly lying on the stand and you're clearly not keeping to your story. The facts are all over the place. You're saying one thing, and then when you're questioned about it, you're saying something totally different. Clearly, everyone's not lying in that instance. Clearly, it's you who's the one that is doing all the lying and deceiving. So that was very unique. Definitely wanted to point that out. Excuse me. So she clearly showed a lot of jealousy and envy over the connections and the success he had in his life with many different people wanting to work with him, and him being so high up in his success. Clearly she had a little bit of a problem with that based off of her testimony about that. She drew a lot of attention to that. So another point, everybody, even people on her side that testified on her behalf, basically talked about in one instance or another. Well, I wouldn't say everybody. There were a couple of people that didn't say anything about her aggression or abuse towards Johnny Depp, but then, you know, the mass majority of the people that testified on her behalf, as well as people that testified on Johnny's behalf, testified that they basically saw, you know, aggression and abuse, you know, whether verbal or physical, her throwing stuff at him, her yelling and screaming at him, you know, and actually, you know, hitting him, you know, and actually one of his bodyguards said that she had threw a Red Bull can at his back and it hit him, and then he was just trying to get him out of Dodge, just trying to get him out of there. Um, so it was many different factors to this case. And um, of course, when asked about it on the stand, her thing was, well, everybody's lying, everyone is lying because my ex-husband is so powerful, and basically, he had them, to lie. But I didn't pick that up. I didn't pick up from the people that testified on Johnny's behalf, or even on her behalf. I didn't pick up that, you know, any of the people were being deceptive when they talked about the fact that they never really saw Johnny become aggressive towards Amber, but they noticed that she was very aggressive towards him. So that speaks volumes. Um, I felt like there were possible plot twists and negative plans that Amber may have had for Johnny. I just feel like they didn't get to totally fall through like she desired for them to. Um, I felt like, based off of all of the testimonies, and also, what was even discussed in a video between Amber and Johnny, as far as like them talking to her parents and basically letting them know, like, we plan to have children and stuff like that. I feel like she wanted to definitely like have a baby with Johnny. And I feel like, she may have thought that that was going to, be a source of a gold mine for her, having children with him. And then also, I feel like a couple of different things that I kind of just picked up as um, possibilities. I felt like, with her coming at him and, basically, even in him trying to be more sober and, travel this journey of sobriety, her bringing drinks and drugs and people who did, drugs around him, and also asking him to bring her drugs and stuff like that, knowing that he's trying to go through sobriety, showed a lot where she was concerned. She really didn't care that he was trying to be sober. Um, and it didn't feel like she really cared to help him in his journey of sobriety either. She wasn't a support system. She just really didn't care. That's what it felt like. And I felt like, because she was upset about the fact that, a month after they married, he did not, put her into his will, like his children were in his will, and, whoever else, she felt like she should be in his will right away too. And there were reports of her being very upset because he did not immediately put her into his will. Um, so it just was very, very interesting, because I felt like the energy that she had for him was, okay, first let's have children. Maybe I can, cash out that way. Then it went from that to, well, maybe if I drive him crazy enough, maybe he'll either, off himself, or I'll end up, offing him. But it felt like if it did lead to that extent, then she would be able to easily explain it away with, Johnny is this huge drug addict. He drinks and smokes all the time. He does drugs, and he overdosed. I feel like, that would be the spin that she would try to, have on the situation, so that, people didn't really look at her. Although people would have been looking at her anyway, because as the spouse, you're going to mess, you're going to basically end up being, a person of interest, for the police, for investigators, because, and especially if you're the last person that saw your spouse alive, you're going to be a person of interest and you're going to go under investigation regardless. But I felt like, with him out of the way, she felt like she would possibly have access to, his money, his power, his success, his fame as being the late wife of Johnny Depp, um, who survives him. And that's pretty sad. It's pretty dark. Um, it's crazy, but even though people would have had their suspicions, it just would have been chalked up as, he OD'd, or he offed himself. He went crazy and offed himself, and she and the children are the survivor of him. And so, and I say that because when he had the situation where he lost the $650 million from, his financial team, who was supposed to be, handling his finances and making sure, he was straight and secure financially. And he found out that either they stole 650 million from him, or he lost it some type of way outside of that, along with that, in conjunction with that. Um, when she found out about that, and then it's like he had that happen, and then his mother passed away. And so it's like a month after that, she filed for divorce. He was, from reports, he was planning to leave her, and then she jumped and divorced him. For her, it was like, okay, he done lost all his money, so I'm kind of done with this. I'm jumping ship, before this ship sinks. And I think that that move actually saved his life, because when she removed herself from his life and got the TRO and divorce and all of that, she was still acting like with him, my lawyers, they're telling me to do this, they're telling me to do that. And he couldn't understand, like, why she, was gung ho about moving forward with these different moves and plans. Um, but I think it was all like basically, like her drive for money, like, greed. Um, yeah, and on top of that, really concerned. I'm really concerned about her baby, um, with her being a narc mother, and her baby being a little girl. Um, Narc mothers are often more harder, and more abusive towards, their daughters, because there's something about them that reminds them of them. And the other thing is, they feel like their daughter, even though an extension of them, has an opportunity to grow up and be better than them and have more success than them. And so they start attacking that child's personality, that child's spirit, that child's confidence, anything they can, to kind of cripple them in a sense, so that, they're sabotaged. They don't grow up better than them. They grow up with more scars and wounds than they did. And it's unfortunate, you know, like, when she said on the stand, like, I have people threatening me. They're threatening my baby. They want to put her in a microwave. I was like, wow, like, I don't know if those statements particularly were true or not, but it was like, hmm, it was it was very interesting, and I didn't get a good feeling, from that at all. Um, yeah. So when Johnny's lawyers did their closing statement, they were very particular about all of the details that, Johnny basically, entrusted in them. And they did a really good job with, telling his story and basically, letting the world know the truth of the matter, which is that Johnny Depp was not physically or sexually abusive, of Amber. In fact, it was her who was physically uh, abusive of Johnny. And, I think that they both handed each other verbal and emotional abuse. But I think that Johnny being verbally and emotionally abusive of Amber was more in self-defense of her coming at him. Um, and that's just what the proof, the evidence showed. That's what I picked up intuitively. Um, so it's really a crazy case, but he made it out of that alive. And he made it out of that alive because she misstepped. Like, she thought that he was completely ruined, from losing the $650 million, and that it was like a sinking ship, and so she had to jump off of it, and to save herself, she thought of other ways to get money from him, which was through the divorce for the 7 million. And she claimed, that she was donating it to these two charities, half and half. And the two charities testified that they never got those monies from her. They never got those millions from her. And then she testified, well, that's because Johnny sued me. Well, Camille basically showed in that, in her cross-examination with Amber Heard, you had this money to yourself for 13 months, and you did not pay these charities the monies that you basically promised to give to them. And basically that was a good point to make, because you'll lie about giving to charities or anything else, like you're a habitual liar, basically. um, you're a pathological liar, and you're used to lying and getting away with things. And the lawyers weren't trying to allow that to happen this go round. um, when her So, like, yeah, when Johnny's lawyers defended him, you could tell, like, they were very genuine. They were coming from a space of, like, this is our baby. Like, they were very protective and respectful of him and loving of him and caring of him, like a parent, would be to their child. And but they respected him like a grown man, but they handled him with care, like, with him having coming through with him having come through all of these different traumas, you know, in his childhood growing up, but then also at the hands of Amber Heard. It was a lot like what he experienced with his mother. And he stated on the stand, like, basically, I married my mother. She was abusive, to us and to my father. And she threatened, just like Amber threatened, you leave me, I'm gonna kill myself, this, all these different things. And there was a video recording of her, and he was trying to get away from her because, either they had just had an argument in a fight, or it was leaning into that possibility. And basically he was trying to go in and spend time, with his daughter. And she was like, why can't we just have a normal argument? Why can't we just, conversate and talk about this? And he was like, I tried, but you want to fight, and I'm not going through another fight with you. I'm not going through another physical altercation with you. I'm trying to get away so that we can both have, time to ourselves to cool down. And, I'm coming in here to spend time with, my daughter. And then, in a couple of hours or so, we can meet back up, and, talk about the situation or not talk about the situation, whatever the case may be. And she's like, you're killing me. Like, don't you understand? Every time you leave and walk away, like, you're killing me. You're killing me. You're killing me. Like, she just kept saying that. And that was the same despotism and intensity. Like, my children's father had. If I tried to walk away from a back and forth or tried to avoid him physically, attacking me or putting his hands on me, if I tried to walk away from that and say, like, let's revisit this later, let's talk about this later on once everybody has cooled down, he looked at that like I was possibly going to leave him, like leave him permanently. Like it felt the same way to him that it felt to her, like abandonment. Like, if we don't work this out now, we never will. And a narcissist idea of working things out is you basically agreeing with whatever they have to say. Um, then that's when they feel like everything is worked out. They don't feel like it's worked out if you still have your own opinion of what's going on and what happened versus what they think what happened and what's going on. They don't like that. Um, and that's just period. Like they do not like you walking away to have time to think about the situation, to cool down, nothing. Um, which speaks to, a narcissist's mental instability. Hands down, right off the bat. Um, so when her lawyers took the stand in closing arguments, um, basically the lawyers her lawyers basically were like talking about Johnny and bringing up all the same, things that she had testified in trial about how he drunk all the time, he did drugs all the time. As a result, he was just this violent abuser, this, that, and the other. And as Rottenborn, a lawyer Rottenborn, began to, talk about these things, all of a sudden everybody's phone in the courtroom started going off at one time. Everybody's phone. At first I thought it was my phone, but it wasn't my phone. It was literally on the recording that everybody's phone in the courtroom went off, inclusive of the judges, I believe. And so he stopped talking and he was just kind of like looking around, like, what's going on? And the judge was like, yeah, I apologize for that interruption. Everybody's phone is going off because there was just an Amber Alert. And I was like that was divine intervention. Um, yeah, the divine was present. And probably, you know, like I said before, even, some of Johnny's enlightened ancestors because they looked out for him. And that was just crazy because I've never seen anything like that ever happen before, especially during a court case. I've never seen phones go off and alert to an Amber Alert right at that moment in the middle of trial. Things like that don't normally happen. And I didn't feel like it was coincidental either. Um, that was definitely a sign of divine intervention. Um, that was I was like with my mouth wide open, like, what the hell? Like, it was undeniable, unmistakable. And for that to happen right as he starts to talk, like, it's almost like God was like, sat down and have several seats because this is not going to go in your favor today. And it was like insane, like how it all happened. Um, So yeah, that was crazy. I don't know if you all noticed that or not, but that was crazy. I saw that and I was like, this is crazy. Um, I feel like she had to learn um from this entire situation, and what she had to learn was that just because you're getting away with something in the immediate, you know, uh, here and now, or you're accustomed to getting away with things and not having any consequences or repercussions, doesn't mean that you will always get away with those particular things over and over again. Um, I felt like this was the beginning of the end for her as far as like her career and success and things like that is concerned, because she kind of brought all of this on herself for the most part, and the divine allowed it. He had to send a clear message to her. um, this was a lesson that she needed to go through and learn as well. um, this was karmic in the sense that a lot of people don't know, like, as they're doing little sneaky, conniving, deceiving, manipulative shit to people along the way in their lives, they're thinking that because they haven't had any repercussions come on to them, that they're getting away with it, that they're just, footloose and fancy free. And that's not the case. Your karma is continuing to add up and build up over time, and you will have to answer for these things. When God gets tired of you getting away and running amok in other people's lives, and doing this here and doing that there and continuously, at some point God gets tired, and that's when he lowers the boom. And then all of a sudden, everything that was going okay for you is not going okay for you, because now it's time for you to have your judgment at that point. And you've got to answer for all that you have done. And you thought that you were getting away with it, and you're not going to get away with it. Just because nothing happens to you right away, doesn't mean that you are going to get away with not ever having to answer for that. That couldn't be farther from the truth. So it's crazy. But also, I saw a lot as far as like, you know, death and destruction, to abundant wealth, to prosperity flow, to, any sort of positive things happening for her. I saw death and destruction to it all. And the divine showed me that. It's all going to come crashing down for her, unfortunately. Um, and it's going to be really horrible for her. Um, and it's just not going to be good at all. Um, to an extent, the human side of me feels a little bad for her because she's going to go through it really badly. Um, and then, like, another part of me is like, that's kind of what happens, when you do things like this and you don't know how to stop. You just repetitively keep, going on your bullshit. Like, it's gonna come back to you. Um, so, um, it was just crazy because I was watching a lot of both of their facial expressions, and, Johnny's reactions to hearing these different allegations against him. You could tell it was like shocking to him. Sometimes, for the most part, he'd be looking down, and he wasn't really looking at her in her face, but he was listening. And some of the stuff that she would say, he would be like that would be his reaction, like, seriously. And with him overall, and during the whole trial, I only felt warmth. I felt warmth overall, coming from him and coming back to him, in a circle. Um, there was a little deception in the beginning of his very first cross examination. Um, and that was the only time I saw deception with him. When they asked him in cross examination, I believe it was Rottenborn who was questioning him, and he was asking him, you know, they were insinuating like basically because he drank and did drugs, like he had to basically what Amber was saying was absolute, like he had to be this horrible monster because he smoked, drank, and did drugs. And so they asked him, they were basically asking him if he drank, or took anything the day before his wedding, which was when this big to do was at this um the trailer park place that they went to for their bachelor and bachelorette party. I forget the name of the place, but basically that's what they were asking him about. And they were asking him like if he drank or smoked or took anything, and he was like, I don't think I drank anything that night. And I saw like the deception in his micro expressions on his face, um, which, to be honest, I could understand him being deceitful on that answer because they had already painted him out several times over. Like, because he drank, every time he smoked, every time he took drugs, he must be this monster. Whereas other witnesses testified he'd always be chill. Like, he'd always be kind of like, just kind of like happy go lucky and kind of just chill. Like, he wouldn't really be aggressive at all. And they were trying to paint the picture. Did you drink, the night before your wedding? Okay, so then what she said that happened after that must be true. That's what they were trying to paint. And so he dodged that by saying, I don't think I drank the night before. I don't think. And I was like, uh-huh, I see you, Johnny, but I understand, why you doing that. Can't really blame you for that. Um, but that was the only time I saw deception with his testimony. Meanwhile, during Amber Heard's testimony, I saw her be deceitful and manipulative several times throughout the course of the trial. Um, so others had witnessed him being abused by Amber. Um, he definitely, I picked up on this energy shift that he went through or incurred during the time that he was with Amber. At first he was just Johnny, and then as time went by, he became a shell of himself, which is what usually happens with, you know, AB victims. Um, yeah, when they asked him other questions, he was able to honestly recall events, any messages, he wrote text, to friends, whether it was about Amber. He was able to recall those and say, yes, I did send that. Yes, I did text that. Yes, I did say that. Um, and then they were like kind of, harping on his sense of humor because I think in a text message with one of his friends, he said something to the extent of, let's burn her to death. Let's burn Amber to death, and then I'll F her dead corpse to make sure she's dead. And then the friend texts back, well, let's drown her first, to see if she's a witch. And so he was like, yeah, let's drown her first and then burn her at the stake or something like that. He has a very dark sense of humor, and I have one too, which is why I can understand it. Um, but I also have a light sense of humor too, and so does he. But his denial of of that last message in the second and final cross examination that he endured through, when her lawyers asked him, they were asking him different questions about, different events over again. and they asked him about this last text message that they hadn't mentioned before. And the message was like something like, if I want something, if I want a woman, I'm gonna take it, and it's mine for the taking, and if I wanna, like it was like sexually vivid, like if I wanna, take this woman and thrash her, I can do that. And, it shouldn't be no, no pullback, no fight against that or something to that extent. And they were like, "Did you say this, Mr. Depp?" And he was like, "No, I never said anything like that." And they were like, "Oh, you didn't say that? Okay, pull up evidence such and so and so," which was, a picture of all of the text messages that he had submitted from his phone. What's interesting is that Amber submitted text messages too, but she only submitted certain text messages. He gave up all messages coming and going from his phone for the sake of proving his innocence in this trial. So they pulled it up and they asked him, "You didn't say this?" He was like, "I don't care what you pull up. I know I didn't say that. I don't feel, you know, I never felt entitled to somebody else's body or anything like that. Like, that's not even how I talk." And I was like, okay, he's never denied any of the other messages. So I'm like, hold on now. So I asked the divine, like, is Johnny being honest in this instant? Divine's like, yeah, he's telling the truth. I'm like, okay, so then where did they get this message from? Like, did somebody else send this message trying to frame him? I didn't know what was going on. At some point, there was a news media outlet who pulled up that actual message, and they showed where in the message it said it was an incoming message, which means that Johnny Depp actually didn't send that message. It was an incoming message from whomever he was talking to at that moment in time. They said that, and you could tell he wasn't trying to tell on the person who actually said that, but they didn't ask him who said that. They asked him if he said that, and he told them, "No, I didn't." And they were like, "You said this because this is a message from your phone," but it wasn't a message from his phone. It was an incoming message. So that's where they messed up in that. Um, and I believe he was telling the truth because he didn't show any signs of deception when he was answering that question. So it was like very interesting. Um, yeah, so um, he had multiple past partners that wanted to testify on the stand to his character and basically let the world know that he's never abused me, he's never hit me or said anything out the way towards me like he did with Amber. So I think he's lying. That's what his past partners said. Meanwhile, Amber didn't have any past partners come up to testify, but we know from the police report with her ex-girlfriend, Tasha Van Ree, that she was abusive, and we've seen pictures of her with Elon Musk when they were together, and he had bruises, visible bruises on his face. We heard from a ex best friend of hers, say that she had decked her. Um, so the proof is in the pudding. Um, clearly he has respect for past partners and love for his children, you know, which is why that's actually how it's supposed to be honest. That's exactly how it's supposed to be. Whether you're with that partner or not, you got children from this situation, like you're supposed to still have, a level of respect for that partner, and also still be able to take responsibility, for your children and do for them, as needed. And that's how it's supposed to be. That showed me, that he is a man of his word and actually, stands up as far as, responsibilities and obligations are concerned. He is not the type like what I experienced with my children's father, like, oh, you don't want to be with me? Okay, fine. Then I'm not doing nothing for the children. Well, you're not hurting anybody but the children, and that was explained to him. And he's like, well, at the time, I was just, in my feelings trying to hurt you. And I'm like, but you didn't hurt me. You hurt the children. That's the crazy thing of it all. But it's like with Johnny, he's never like been derelict in his duty as a father. He always, still was there for his children, whether he was with their mom or not. So that speaks volumes to his character as well. Um, yeah, so clearly, like, he had friends come and testify for him, some from the past, some from the present. And, clearly he had, a huge heart and a love for, friends and family. He also showed lots of generosity, whether it was to his friends or family or to Amber's friends or family. Let them live up in his penthouses for free, without charging them anything. Food was provided, the bills were paid, and they didn't have to worry about anything. And all of them testified to his generosity. Um, so Yeah, it felt like, when he was attempting to be sober, clearly Amber didn't want him sober because she did not show any type of support where his sobriety was concerned, and that spoke volumes. She continued to have drinks and alcohol and drugs and smokes around him all the time, regardless of the fact that he's trying to stay away from certain things. She had it around him all the time. And I'm not even putting it all on her. She did conspire to do these things, but he also has charge of himself as well. And he was not strong enough to withstand, the temptation of having the drinks and the drugs all around him while he's trying to be sober. So it's like there's a small percentage of that he has to take responsibility for too. But I'm peeping Amber and the fact that she, willfully allowed these things around him. She didn't try to say like, don't bring no drinks, don't bring no weed, don't bring no coke, none of that around my husband because he's trying to get sober and I'm supporting his sobriety. And the only way for us to help him is to not have none of those things around, where he will have access to them. She didn't do that. So that spoke volumes within itself. Um, yeah, so I had I had put down, Johnny, he really just needs um a magical woman, that would really just, be able to help him through these things and be supportive of him and be loving and caring of him and know what herbs and things to give him to clean out his system so that he would be supported in trying to tackle this sobriety. um Hell, he may even need a black woman, a black magical witchy woman, but when it comes down to it, um really, it could be a Caucasian woman, it could be a Hispanic or Latino woman, it could be any type of woman, but she just needs to be a good woman, because he's a good man. So he deserves to have, a good woman by his side that basically has the same standards and morals that he does, and also, desires to live life as he does too. And Amber was just very low vibrational and he was not able to see that or pick up on that. And, you know, only he and her know, you know, the full story, between the two of them. Only they know it, what all happened, aside from what all came out in the trial. Um, so, yeah, he he definitely caught himself once he saw the reality of his relationship with Amber. Um, because when you go through abusive partnerships or situations, naturally you don't want to let that person go because you see clearly they need help. They need help and they need support too, and they need love too. But are they able or capable of accepting that love and support? She wasn't. She wanted it how she wanted it. And because he was not offering it how she wanted it, she didn't want it at all. And so we learn in these situations when we go through them, you really can't help this person because they don't want the help. They don't want to help themselves. So as a result, then you learn, okay, there's no choice but to let them go and walk away from it. And it's hurtful to the person who even endured through the abuse, because it's like you're thinking that this is just a temporary problem or issue that the person is going through, and that you can somehow bring them back, out of that. But you can't. Only they can do that. Only they can choose and decide to do that. And you know, he realized the reality of his the entirety of his relationship with her, which is why in a recording, he's like telling her, like, I love you. Like, I actually love you. Like, even if you never loved me, I love you. And I think that we can work this out, without the courts and the things like that, because this is just going to go really bad for the both of us. And I really don't know why she wanted to go through with this court trial, but um it's not gonna end well for her. Um but at some point, once he realized that she still wanted to go through, with this court trial, he was just like, okay, so I see that clearly you don't want to work things out outside of court. I see you actually want to go through with court, so we go in the fucking court then. I was like, wow. um he was like, because I'm telling you, like, there's a way to work this out. I can take care of you. I can set you up really good, and you go your separate way, I go my separate way. And he was like, I love you even if you never loved me. Like, and it was a little triggering because I've been there. Um, but it was heartbreaking. She insisted she wanted to go through with court, and that she had been basically building up evidence for some time, taking pictures of him, and getting friends and people to say certain things on the stand if it ever came down to it, which was exactly what they all stated, which was that he was this drunk, drug taking, abusing monster. And you know um, she was this innocent victim who just endured all of these things. And he was listening to her tell him, like, because I can have people say that they saw, me go through this and that and the other with you. Um, I can have people say that, they witnessed this or the other. And he's just sitting there like, wow, like, you would go to that extent? Like, I'm telling you, I can take care of you. I'm sure she wishes right about now that she went through with that option as opposed to going to court, because she didn't really win much of anything. And like, she could have had it so much better if she, had tried to go this other route, being that she's lying anyway. Like, it's baffling to me. Um, so yeah, I noticed that I noticed he was astonished by, Amber Heard's lies, as well as, her sister Whitney. on the stand lying about him. And he viewed her as a sister for real and really loved and cared for her. And witnessed Amber abusing her in a lot of different, situations. And said that Whitney was like a punching bag for Amber. And he said, Amber would, try to get in between them when, not Amber, Whitney would try to get in between her sister and Johnny Depp whenever Amber tried to, aggress towards Johnny. Um, and it actually was in a recording, or not a recording, there was a witness that was Whitney's good friend that said that she would come to her and be like, Amber did it this time. I think she's going to try to kill him. Like, so that spoke volumes. Um, Hold on, guys. Peace, guys. Okay, had to get my charger. Everything always starts dying when I'm doing my recordings. Um, but yeah, as he was sitting there listening to Whitney testify these lies, that Amber had concocted, he was sitting there like he was actually looking at Whitney like, really? Like, you could tell he was hurt by these lies that she was trying to, protect her sister. And she was trying to basically say the same things that her sister had, told her to say or asked her to say in this testimony. And you could tell she wasn't even sure about what she was saying. I also noticed like Whitney was being very deceptive in her testimony as well. I saw her micro expressions that pointed to lots of deception in her story. And she wasn't sure about what she was saying. And I also picked up on and noticed that she kept looking over at Amber as she was answering questions from Amber's lawyers, Elaine. Um, when she looked over at Amber, it wasn't like a glance. It was like, am I doing this right? Am I saying the right thing? Like, you could tell, like, it was like real fear in her eyes. And a lot of people picked up on that. Also, when she answered a question, as they asked her, Elaine had asked her, so is it safe? She said, have you ever done drugs or drink, with Johnny? So Whitney was like, yes, I've drank and I've done, cocaine with him. So she's like, is it safe to say that the things that you witnessed, you were sober, when you witnessed these things? Whitney says, oh, I'm rarely sober. Rarely. And I'm like, like, why would you say that? So, like, why would you say something like that? But you could tell she didn't even know that she had messed up. Like, that makes your testimony right now not the most credible. Because we don't know if you're sober now. You're rarely sober. So oh Lord. You could tell the divine was just interfering any and everywhere. She didn't plan to say that. It's almost like he just took over her mouthpiece and had her to speak the truth of the situation. And everybody was like, what did you just say? Even Elaine was like, wait a minute, did you say you were sober, right? And she's like, right, yeah. I'm like, oh no, you can't put that cat back in the bag. Can't do it. Mm-mm. That hurt her statement. Um, yeah, that was crazy, guys. Yeah, so what Johnny had to learn from all of this because even like sitting there having to listen to people lie on you and you can't say anything, you can't defend yourself, that's a very hard task for any of us to have to endure through or go through. And he went through that with as much grace as possible, but you could tell he was hurting from all of these falsities being stated about him, and it was hurting him. um I don't know if I could sit there and, you know, um, be lied on. Um, but his lawyers basically took care of him. Like I said, they handled him with care and love and respect the whole way through. And all the things he didn't get to state to Amber because she would often cut him off. And like there was this one video where she was laughing like belligerently in it. And it showed like her mental instability definitely came out on video, in that well, not a video, but a recording. Um, it was crazy. She was like laughing hysterically. And while she's laughing hysterically and cutting him off, like she was agreeing to things. He was like, "You've been out here like cheating on me and stuff." And she was like, "I did. I actually tried. I really tried to." "Yeah, you're right." Like she was like, "Ah, ha, ha, ha. So, why don't you write in your diary? Or why don't you do a book about me? Like, I'd love to read it." Like, she's just cynical and off her rocker. Um, it was crazy. Yeah, so he's trying to talk. She's constantly cutting him off, with psychoisms, and it was just crazy to hear. And they asked her, like, "What are y'all talking about in that video?" And she's like, "I don't recall." And they're like, "Why are you laughing? Is there something funny about, abusing your husband?" She's like, "I'm not laughing in the video, at that. I'm laughing to keep from crying. It was a very sad situation." And I'm like, girl, ooh, um, that was crazy. Um, but there was one more thing in a recording that's been played like all over TikTok. And another testament to, her being very deceptive and manipulative in her testimony. She's like, he kept asking me, "You think you're a man? You think you're a strong man? You think you're a brave man? You think you're a man?" And she was like, he balled up his fist, drew back, and then headbutted me. And I'm like, what? Wait, what? I'm like, why are you lying? Like, why are you sitting here doing all of this to this man? Like, it just really didn't make any sense. And I mean, you could clearly tell, like, there was deception. Like, it just, honey. Um, Johnny, he had to learn a lot from this. All of this was an initiation for him. All of this was a complete transformation for him. He had to go through this because there's another phase of his life that he was being ushered into by the divine. The divine was urging him to move from this, low vibrational toxic stage of his life where he's attracting all this toxicity into his life through partners, like Amber Heard. The divine is, urging him, to move forward in a way where, he could grow from this experience and grow out of this experience. And he needed to be able to go through this in order to transmute all of the bullshit so that, he could make it cross over into the space that he's meant to be in, so that he could, properly, attain his throne and, basically be able to incur all that, was taken from him throughout the situation, like, his roles and movie deals and, all of these things he had going for him kind of went downhill, because of these allegations of abuse and things like that from Amber Heard. And people started cutting him off in the industry. And so one thing he said was, well, they believed her right off the bat. I don't care if they offer me millions of dollars, they will never have me, back doing no movies for them. I think he was referring to Disney. Um, but other than that, it's like the divine meant for all of this to happen because he needed to be ushered into his next phase, his next phase of life, his next, phase of growth. And it would have taken this complete transformation to get him there. Now, I'm sure he don't never want to have to deal with another Amber Heard again. And he's going to be very selective and very careful in his choices where partners are concerned. He's also going to work on doing more work on himself so that, he doesn't attract that type of, energy, low vibrational energy to himself as well. He's going to be working on that. Um, and I feel like this whole court case, you know, is going to force, the removal of toxicity within him so that he doesn't attract it anymore. And it's also going to help him with moving forward into his healing so that, he can fully release those things and be able to move on into a better space. Not just with love, but in all areas of his life. I could see that happening for him. And yeah, I definitely think that he needed to be able to have access to his Ace of Cups. And in order for that to happen, you've got to release people, things, old habits, ways, anything negative that doesn't, resonate, anything, that no longer serves you. You've got to let it go in order to get into that better phase of life, and that's what he's going through right now. Very similar to what a lot of us have gone through or endured through or are going through right now. Um, so yeah, that's what I have. Where their entire court case is concerned, and I'm sure he was happy to have won the verdict of $15 million and $350,000 in damages. Um, basically he was able to get his truth out there, and basically he was able to be heard like he wasn't before. Throughout the course of his marriage, he was able to tell his truth, get it out there, and now the world knows and sees all. And that was a great move. He took his courage and did what he wanted to do, and I believe he was successful in that. Now, Amber Heard, she plans to appeal, and there's a lane, she's sitting on these shows, talking about how this was a setback for all women. This wasn't a setback for all women. This was a setback for all liars. Um, because that's exactly what Amber Heard is. And there's many like her out there, which is what brings me to my next case in point about this next case that I actually have my eye on, and it involves Marilyn Manson and a whole flock of women who, have accused him of sexual abuse and different things like that. And what drew me into the story is the fact that Amber Heard is like really good friends with one of the main women that is accusing him of doing this. And they mentioned that Amber Heard is a conspirator in this situation as far as helping this woman to build up her case against Marilyn Manson. I'm not a particular fan of Marilyn Manson in no kind of way. Um, but injustice is injustice. And so I've got my eye on it, because that's very interesting to me. And if they are, in fact, lying, then they're going to go down too. They're going down, because it's time out for all of that craziness. Lies, deception, manipulation, all of that will be exposed in this day and time. It has no choice but to be. And yes, it's just really crazy, all of these things, that are coming out. Um, you know, they're saying Amber Heard won't be able to pay Johnny. I don't know how that's going to happen, but he didn't really care about the money anyway. He just wanted the truth out. So yeah, I don't know what Elaine thinks she's doing by playing damage control and going on to these different shows saying, it's a setback for women. She's really hurt that she lost. We had so much evidence. You didn't have anything that proved anything for her except that she was lying. Like, it is what it is. You can appeal, you can do whatever you want to, but divine has spoken, honey. And I was watching this TikTok the other night and I was rolling because this woman was like, you ain't never got to worry about getting people back that have done stuff to you. You ain't never got to worry about that. And I bear witness. You don't have to worry about physically getting back with anybody or aggressing back towards anyone that has aggressed towards you. All you got to worry about is releasing and healing, because the divine is going to handle the rest. But this woman was like, you ain't never got to worry about getting back with people who have wronged you or done stuff against you. She was like, because she was like, every time somebody does something, a negativity of some sort, they working. And she was like, let me explain to you what that means. And she was like, so that you can understand what I'm saying. She was like, when people is out here lying, they working. They out here, cheating and deceiving, they partners and stuff. They working. They out here stealing and doing all types of harm towards other people, and all types of negativities, of any sort. They working, and they working full time. And one thing about working is at some point you're gonna get your payout. And she was like, what did she say? It was just so funny. She was like, you're gonna get your payout. She was like, and some of you bitches, she was like, some of you bitches that put overtime up in that bitch. Oh God, it was hilarious. I had watched it a few times because it just was funny as hell and it resonated. She was like, some of you done put overtime. Some of you bitches done put overtime up in that bitch. And she was like, ooh, your paycheck is coming. Your payday is coming. And she was like, and at some point, you're gonna receive that payout. And don't be sad, don't be upset, and don't complain, because whatever you get in your payout, just remember you worked for it. I was like, you goddamn right. And it's because of that alone that I have not come after people that have wronged me, because I'm secure in knowing they gonna get theirs and they gonna get it and they gonna get it damn good. And I'm gonna have a front row seat to it every time. So I say to my royals out there, same thing goes for you guys. Don't even worry about trying to get back at people most of the time, unless it's something that deserves to have justice right away. Some great crime somebody did against you, and you need to have justice in your favor. That's where you can see me about magical solutions, because we can definitely handle that. However, don't be sitting around worried about it, or planning to come at that person in a way that will land you in jail or land you with a fine or in court or anything like that. No, that's where magic comes in, honey. That's where the divine comes in. You don't have to do nothing. Send me payment to my Cash App, and the divine will fight for you. The divine will handle your issues and problems for you. And I bear witness. So I hope that you all resonated with this message. And if you like my content, definitely like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. I hope I covered everything. If not, there'll be more videos in the near future. And because she's appealing, so I'm sure we'll have more content to go off of and talk about. And yeah, I hope this resonated with everyone. Definitely like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and comment down below what you think, honey. And I look forward to seeing you guys and talking with you guys again in the next video. Okay? All right. Peace and bright blessings, guys.